Greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is still doing well, and welcome to this early morning, middle of the night bonus upload. Before we jump into it, a couple quick links. As many of you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, channel membership, and the merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. Links to Patreon, PayPal, and channel membership is in the description below. Merch displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman, Frightening Encounters, Volume 1 through 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeff Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support the channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe. It does not cost you a cent. Click that like button, takes half a second. If you don't want to miss out on any of the informative uploads I put out daily, click the bell icon, and folks, please leave a comment and share the video. Why? Well, because all of these things really do help the channel to continue to grow and go. They definitely do matter, and they are appreciated. And with that, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's jump in to this early morning, middle of the night bonus upload, shall we? Today's first encounter. Hello, Jeff. My name is JMW. I've had a couple of encounters that I'd like to share with you. You can narrate them on your channel if you choose to. First encounter was in 2002. So, I've been thinking about writing this out for some time now. I am no writer, but the story goes like this. Also, keep in mind that I'm going to see how a more condensed version is first and go from there. 2002, 2 weeks before Christmas, I was having trouble sleeping. So I decided to go coyote hunting by myself. No one knew I had even left. It was about 11:30 at night. No cell phones of any kind. Definitely a bad idea. I start my trek, as always, down a well-used trail until reaching a steep section covered in multiflora rose bushes. However, I had previously cut a path, and it wasn't hard to navigate, even in the snow that had been falling. I continued down the hill until reaching a large ravine that sits not far from my house. Moving to my left, I went about another 100 yards or so to where this all plays out, and you can cross a shallow stream. I crossed the stream and proceed up a long, snow-covered hillside trail. Getting to the top, I went into action, setting up all of my gear and finding a spot with a good backrest and nice firing lanes. My back rested against a large pile of crush and run. My shotgun leveled across my knees. I sat there, getting colder and colder and more snow covered by the minute. So after 45 minutes to an hour, I decided to quit and pack everything up. This is when things get scary. I grabbed my red filtered 1,000,000 candle power field spotlight. When I turned it on, luck was on my side and I saw it around 10 feet away. Nose to the ground in my direction on all fours, the light coming on didn't even startle or faze this creature. It's like it knew right where I was and knew the light would be on at any second. It then took a step toward me, lifted up onto two legs. It didn't break or crack when standing up. The only noise that I could note was a low, deep-sounding pop in its rib sternum area. It stretched out and puffed its chest as if it wasn't big enough. I would have to say it was at least 7 to 8 feet tall, with 5-fingered hands and 2-inch claws. This Dogman never opened its mouth, so I cannot comment on its teeth. It took a step toward me, and having my shotgun already leveled, I fired a shot that hit it right in its mid-upper portion of its ribs. Mind you, that hitting something this close with a shotgun usually causes a major hole and nothing could walk away from it. The shot let loose a mist of blood in the red-tinged light of the spotting lamp. It let out a loud yelp, then tucked its ears and ran to my right. It made it out of The light circle in 2 strides. I fired 2 more times at it, but it was much too quick and I missed. I got up and started walking in the direction it ran, forgetting momentarily to reload my shotgun. I walked for about 10 feet and found a large pool of blood, then walked a few feet more and found less blood. This process repeated until I was around 30 feet from where I initially started and there was no blood, just footprints. It's as if this thing could regenerate or something to heal itself of such a massive wound so quickly. I stopped, realized how stupid I was for going after this thing after it just had been wounded. I didn't know they hunted in packs back then. I just thought I had encountered a real-life werewolf. I then trudged home in the night with a surely wounded God knows what potentially circling me the whole way I go. I took my time getting back. It took me 2 hours to walk what normally takes 20 to 30 minutes. I made it back home, went to bed, and never spoke of that night again until 2019. I hardly hunt anymore due to health problems, but even if I was healthy going back out there, you would always be looking over your shoulder. However, I am working on getting a group of professional cryptid researchers to come and take a look. My second encounter was back in 2003. While walking to a friend's house, I was met by a large canine coming out of the woods in front of me, about 50 feet. It looked like the combination between a bull mastiff, a Rottweiler, and a Doberman, only this animal was between 3 and 4 feet at the shoulder while on all fours. It seemed to be at least 3 times the size of a mastiff. It was a solid-looking animal. I watched it as it covered that 50 feet in less than 5 seconds, and it was to me. It got right up to me and lunged forward to attack me using only its mouth. I had no weapons or no good defense alternatives, so I did the only thing that popped into my mind. I turned my body to the right and rammed my arm as deep down this thing's throat as I could go, which was a few inches past my elbow. It must have been a juvenile, as it was inexperienced and its teeth weren't extremely sharp yet. I barely had a scratch on me after jamming my arm down its gullet. I then grabbed it around the neck with my free right arm and began trying to choke it with all my strength. I squeezed for a good 2 to 3 minutes. The tension in its body relaxed, and then I slowly stood up and shook the goo off my left arm. Talk about the smell of death. It only took a minute or so for the creature to get back on all fours. It stood there gagging for a minute, then locked eyes with me. It gave me this look of, "You bastard." Then it turned and ran off back into the woods. Both of its front feet were actually hands, as it did have 5-digit finger, although the claw-like nails at the end were less than 2 inches. I didn't get a good look at its back feet. It had the most golden yellow eyes I'd ever seen. Again, this event took place at nearly dusk, so I didn't make out any colors well, other than it was dark. Not jet black, but a very deep brown coloration. If I had to guess, I'd say it was 6.5 feet long, snout to the base of its tail. This one had a longer tail. It was about 2.5 feet long. Also, it felt like it weighed 200 pounds. It was probably heavier than that, but I once again was lucky and was pretty strong in my younger days and was able to stalemate its attack. I've not shared this story with very many at all. All I ask is that we keep it in this group until I decide that I want to share it. People have a tendency to think you're crazy when you tell them you defeated a werewolf in hand-to-hand combat. It appears that there may be living, breeding population of them in this spot, and I am intending to find out this summer. Today's second subscriber submission. Hey Jeff, how are you? I have a video of a black orb or something following me around Lake Giacomo the other day. The same lake I saw the invisible entity with my boyfriend. I say invisible, but you can't see something invisible, so it was more like an imperfectly invisible entity such as the predator when he is in cloaking form. If you would be interested in that video, the Orbs, well, there are several videos. I will see what I can do to get them shortened and made into one video so that I can actually send it, because my phone won't let me send huge videos. So let me know. Thanks, Jeff. I also have a video of extraordinary energy that you can actually see on the camera at my boyfriend's house radiating everywhere. He would not want to have that posted publicly, but I could let you see it if you wanted. And I have encounters like one time when we were looking for arrowheads and we went out at night. Something was throwing little pebbles at us. The pebbles would land right in front of our heads as we bent over looking into the water. That takes some precision and intelligence to do. We were there for hours and it happened many times. And at first I wasn't even sure if it was happening. I would hear it. I could see the water move in front of me, but it didn't register until like 5 times. And I was like, okay, what the heck? My first thought was my boyfriend was doing it, and he said no, it was happening to him as well. And so something intelligent was there throwing little pebbles right in front of our heads, not hitting us, but messing with us. Like I said, that takes some intelligence. The terrain surrounding us was very remote. There's a few houses around there, but there's a lot of woods, and it's out in the country where anything could hide if it wanted to be hidden. And there's also a known Indian burial mound close to the spot. And I'm just giving you a slight detail about it. If you wanted to know more, I'll write them out for you. Like the other night, my boyfriend was out and about, and he had heard something he had never heard before. A howl, like, I don't know how it sounded. He says coyotes just went crazy, so I don't know what it was, but it sounded like a Dogman to me, as what he described the howl sounded like. Another time he saw something in the little patch of woods at night in the middle of this town. I mean, not even in a town, it's a city. And when he saw it, he immediately picked up a stick and started kind of sharpening against a tree for protection. It had an elongated snout. It looked emaciated, and when he saw them, his son and him took off running on 4 legs. It then stood up and started running on 2 legs as it was running. He said he saw tracks in the snow like he had never seen before. These tracks were not of anything he had ever seen, and couldn't even place them with something possibly that's known to exist. And there's another time when I was by myself. I was out at the end of this trail in the same patch of woods where my boyfriend had dropped me off and took his bike to the top, and I could hear his dirt bike at the top of the trail. And that's a little ways off, so I knew he wouldn't be able to hear me. I heard chains or something and started walking up the trail toward it, thinking it was a person. I guess I forgot to say it was dark out, like 9 p.m. on a summer night. The sun had gone down. It was dark enough that you could not really see too far off. So I started walking toward it. I said hello, and all of a sudden it starts on 2 legs running up the side of the hill, and I could hear the chains rattling. Maybe they were hanging off the side of its belt or something. I don't know. I couldn't see a belt. I couldn't even see chains. I could hardly see and make out the figure. And then it turns directly toward me and starts running towards me. It begins morphing into a dog-like creature. Looked like German Shepherdish to me as far as I could tell. And the whole time it was just a really pale green glow about it. And at first it looked like a person going up the side of the hill. But then when it turned towards me and morphed into this ghost dog, is what I call it, it went down on all 4s and just ran at me. I know it sounds crazy. It was definitely weird. I can't explain it any better than that. So I turned around without even trying to comprehend what I was looking at, and I yelled help, and it ran up the other way and ended up going up another trail that is just not really a trail you'd want to go up, especially in the dark. I had no flashlight. It's just not easy. It's steep. It's hard to climb up there. Anyway, I just wanted to give you some ideas of the encounters that I've had. Thanks, Jeff, for what you do. Today's third subscriber submission. Jeff, thank you for taking your time out to read my email. It was the summer of 2006, the 4th of July. I was driving down an old highway that had cornfields on each side. I was heading to pick up my little sister and her boyfriend at the time. They both were not at their job, and their boss said they would be back in 30 minutes, so I figured I'd just head home and wait for her phone call. It was now 12:01, and I had just crossed the bridge. It was about less than a mile from the turnoff to the old dirt road that I needed to head to my house. The road is now paved, for it's in city limits. I looked over to the cornfield on my right, for I had an odd feeling something was not right. Also, I wasn't the only person on the highway either. There was traffic on the oncoming lane. When I looked over to the cornfield on my right, I saw this strange dog coming out of it, and it ran across the single-lane highway. I saw eye shine still on the right shoulder of the highway. When it came up on it, my headlights and the other car's headlights lit the area, and I saw what looked like a hyena. I looked into the cornfield and saw another one, but the thing had the face of a man, like if it was shifting into a creature, like the two he was fouling. But I locked eyes with both of those hyenas. I made my turn onto the dirt road that was about 20-30 feet away from what I saw. I wasn't too happy to be called at 1 a.m. to pick up my sister from work and drop off her boyfriend. The week was odd, for I had worked at Walmart and I had 3 people come to my checkout that were from South Africa. 1 woman and 2 men, 1 black, 1 white. After they checked out, one by one, they went over to the McDonald's that was in the store at the time. They would just watch me, and I got that same feeling once more I had the night that I saw those 3 hyenas. I got off work that night, and I drove on the main highway that led to my house, and as I passed an old gas station with the windows open in my car, I heard 3 people from behind the gas stations in the fields behind it calling my name. This went on for about a month or so. I was very uneasy going out at night. There had been several nights after what had happened that I would hear knocking on my bedroom window and laughing, and someone at my tiny bedroom window whispering my name. But it would only be on nights my little sister would stay the night at her boyfriend's, for it mainly happened when I was alone. Like they planned it, as if I told someone, they would think I was crazy. After that summer, I hadn't seen them or heard them again, but I still get an uneasy feeling every few years during a summer night. Part of me wants to see them again, but part of me does not. I am worried I wouldn't walk away from it this time. Thank you, Jeff, for all you do. Today's 4th subscriber submission. Hey, Jeff, how are you? I'm scheduled to retire in 6 months, but I took a leave of absence shortly after my encounter, which will postpone my retirement. I've heard stories and have gotten calls for a year, and I chalked it up to misidentification or a Sasquatch, which I've seen plenty in my career. My encounter happens as I was responding to a call of who I knew the residence of the caller, which I cannot disclose, due to a tragic mauling that happened years ago, which my supervisor at the time told me is one of the worst crime scenes he had ever seen. So the call was a couple of guys stalked by a couple large coyotes as they were trying to finish loading their truck for a customer for their move. I reached the property off of Old Taylor Road. It was 8 p.m., relatively getting dark. I had all my lights on, so the area was lit up well. I exited my car with my AR at hand, went to the shed where they barricaded themselves in. I was able to get them to come out. I asked them about the resident that lives here. I was told that they were moving and they hadn't been on the property for days. They asked if I could stay as they finished loading. It'd be about 30 minutes. I obliged. They finished up and headed out. I walked back to my patrol car, which was about 20 yards away. I started getting this uneasy feeling like I was being watched. I got into my patrol car and started my report. As I was doing that, I heard a guttural growl and looked up to see a werewolf that looked like the Van Helsing one standing 15 feet in front of my car. I put my car in reverse and I was about to proceed. There was one in the rear. They had me boxed in and slowly approached my vehicle. My AR was less than a foot away, but was already secured, so it would have taken me a few seconds to unhinge it, and I felt it wouldn't be enough time before they were on top of me. As it got a foot from me, I turned my siren on, and the PA, which caused this screeching noise. It put its raccoon-like hands to cover its ears and leapt off into the brush. I took off to the main road with the emergency lights and speeding all the way back. I always thought that the victims were not seeing what they said, convincing them that it was something else to everyone. I am truly sorry that I did that. And I am truly sorry for all who have gone through this too. Today's 5th subscriber submission. Jeff, how are you? I've got a couple of things I'd like to share with you. I had just come home going to my RV out on the ranch after midnight as I babysat my grandkids 3 nights a week for my waitress daughter who got home late those nights. Ranches have gates. Got out, swung the huge gate open, hooked it to stay, got back in, drove through, got out, went and closed it. 13-foot gate. Got back in the car, started slowly rolling uneven dirt area, riding the brakes which lit up behind my car brightly. Glanced in my side driver mirror to see a dark, shaggy, and at least 7-foot tall werewolf-looking creature standing in the vegetable garden that was next to the gate I had come through. It was about 13 feet from where I had just did the gate. It was standing sideways as I viewed it, shoulders rolled lanky forward, but standing on 2 legs just like a human being. Its arms hung lankily to its side. Its head was flopped forward and down, so its whole long muzzle was resting on its neck-chest area. It was totally passed out. I realized it was in a deep trance state. I know for a fact that the beings with UFOs put that being there, knowing I'd be getting home late and had to get out and do the gate. They put it there on purpose. They have to transport cargo holds, just like we do on Earth in their ships, by which they transport and drop off creatures on our land waterways, even the flying cryptids, all of it. They're doing it all. This whole mess with monsters on Earth is them doing it in their ships, UFOs. They landed a saucer on the next ranch over, and I saw it another night, late, coming home when taking care of my grandkids while my daughter was at work. It was blindingly bright, flashing strobe lights of different colors, and it was actually on the ground, way the hell out in the neighbor's ranch pasture. Anyway, so the werewolf had a spiky mohawk of very stiff-looking hair sticking straight up and out from the top back head area down to its shoulders like a wild boar hair looking. I think it was a mane, but it stood up and out because its head was flopped forward and a long-ass snout resting on its upper chest. The body, totally steroided out to the max, made Mr. Universe look like a little twerp. I was terrified. It was about 10 feet behind my car as I looked in my side mirror, and was all lit up because my brake lights are bright, and I was riding them, rolling about 2 or 3 miles an hour, staring into my side mirror. The being was in deep trance state, and I was unbelievably locked into my mirror. I couldn't seem to feel time, space, or anything. It was like time stood still, and I was in absolute horror because I thought I was going to die that night. They were going to wake it up, do something. I snapped out of it and gunned the gas pedal, hauled ass 50 feet, and around to the back of the barn where my RV is parked. Parked 2 feet from my RV door, jumped out, got inside, started frantically locking the door, checking the window locks. Sure curtain cracks couldn't be looked through from the outside, sat down on my bed and felt relief till I thought, hey, wait a minute, why am I feeling safe? It's 50 feet away from where I'm sitting, and it's probably still over there standing there. So I sat up most of the night, tired as hell. I work a lot of days cleaning plus babysitting 3 nights a week, and that's a 30-mile round trip through the California mountains each time. But I was terrified. I sat there waiting to die because I really thought they were going to come and kill me. It could have peeled my RV door right off and flung it over its shoulder like a corn chip, snout looking very long, maybe over a foot. Had to weigh a hell of a lot. I'm thinking 500 to 600 pounds. If I had to guess, God, I'm feeling scared just thinking about it. They dropped them off here. And a few other things. Once standing over next to the big pond, maybe 60 feet from the gate I have to go through. Had been a babysitting again after midnight again. Got through the gate and started going slow into the ranch, bumpy dirt area toward my RV. I looked over toward the pond, 60 feet from me, to see there standing a 2 feet werewolf on the trail next to the pond, staring at me. Never moved. At 2 or 3 miles an hour rolling, I stared back in terror into those golden eyes, like buckwheat shaped, which is like a triangle with a fat wide end at the temple, and the point of the triangle going in to meet the bridge of the snout. Not eyes like a cat at night in the headlights, not at all. They were very solidly defined in deep correlation, though not translucent. Just deep, strong, glowing color, gold, amber, yellow tone, yellow, the most prominent hue though. Not glowing like light bulbs though, and yet not like nocturnal earth creatures either. You know what? They're like owl eyes. Just remembered the times I've seen owls at night. That deep yellowish golden color with the tiniest hue of amber in them. And the same exact intenseness. When you shine a flashlight on an owl at night, it's not the same eye shine glow as a cat, deer, bobcat, or mountain lion, or raccoon. The werewolf's eyes are like owl eyes that way. They show up at night, except you don't have to shine any light at the werewolf being. Their eyes are like that without ambient light. Well, take care. Stay safe and watch over your kids every second. Even in the day in the yard, always check their windows, locks, and all window locks, doors too, before nightfall. Never skip it if you're sick, because those things have hands like us opposable thumbs. And after reading others' nightmares experiences, I've learned that they climb trees like a champ, even if they're carrying a huge dead deer that they have killed 60 feet up a tree, where they often apparently like to be when eating. All I think all the time is, please, dear God, don't let them hurt my family. My 2 grandkids, 12 and 16, they dirt bike and ride in the woods. My daughter won't listen to me, thinks I'm reading too much into this crap or watching too many scary movies, as she puts it. She won't listen. I can't even describe how I feel about that. She lets him go out riding. My heart is broken over that. I'm horrified someday she'll call me and tell me that they went out and never returned. I love those 2 kids more than anything on this earth. They're the most important thing in my life, and I can't protect them. I feel helpless. Good night to you and yours. Again, thank you, Jeff, for all you do. Take great care 24/7. Today's final subscriber submission. Hello, Jeff. I hope you are doing well today. I figured if I was to tell anybody about my past event, you would be one of the few people to believe me, though I don't know where to start. I guess I'll start with my trip up north when I visited an aunt of mine for a few weeks. Her house had room in the basement, so that was where I stayed. I tend to overheat at night, and I like to either walk around or go outside and relax and look at the stars. That day there had been an animal attack. I can't say wolf for sure because I never managed to see it, but as you will read, I have reasons to believe so. There was a trail of blood leading to the forest from just behind the barn/shed that led to what was left of a deer. Nothing odd there. On that night, I was restless and chose to go outside on the front porch. When I stepped outside, I was so relieved by the cold. I didn't bother to look around at first. Then I noticed the quiet. Normally, you can hear all matter of life up north, even at night, but not then, and it unsettled me, so I looked around before moving any further from the door. At the bottom of the steps was a large wolf. It didn't move once. I spotted it, and neither did I. It seemed like time stopped, and somehow we both tilted our heads as if an unspoken question, "What are you doing here?" was in my mind. I didn't talk because if I spoke, I felt that breaking the silence would be wrong. Eventually, I almost relaxed and looked away, knowing that it was still there, but that I would not be hurt. After another moment outside, I backed away. Never quit giving my back to it, but I stared as I closed the screen door, and then when I closed the wooden one, it left. I don't think it was normal animal because you could see it was smart, and it didn't have any fear or anger. The eyes were beautiful color. They seemed almost like a dark gold, but it was many, many years ago now. I can't say the height because of the stairs altered my perception, but at a guess on all paws, it was at least 4.5 to 5 feet tall, given the railing height just a few feet away. Another odd thing happened to me at that house and seemed to follow me even now, but it seemed to fit into your channel the most. Use it or not, it's just my thank you for all the wonderful stuff you do for me. Have a great day, Jeff. And there you have it, folks. I hope you all enjoyed this early morning, middle of the night bonus as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. I'd like to thank you all for supporting the channel. It is your support that helps this channel to continue to grow and go, and what helps give us all a place and a chance to share our experiences and theories judgment-free. Stay safe, happy, healthy, and ever vigilant, keeping an eye on our children, pets, family, and friends. These creatures are real. These events have happened. Share this information with those you love and care about, and it may just help save their lives someday. Until next time, never stop asking questions, never stop searching for the truth, and God bless you all.